Welcome to Module 1, Activity 2. In the last activity, we talked about how trauma impacts the development of a child and the development of their brain. We're going to dive more deeply into that in this activity. As you can see here on the screen, there is a picture of a brain. The part of the brain that we're going to be talking about is the blue part compared to the rest of the colors of the brain. The blue part is the part of the brain that is directly behind our forehead, known as the prefrontal cortex. The rest of the brain, while it has its own kind of unique qualities and names, we're going to refer to that as the kind of the core of the brain. You might hear it as the mammalian brain, the reptilian brain. This is our survival center of the brain. And when we are experiencing high stress or trauma, our prefrontal cortex disconnects. Now, not really. It doesn't disconnect in a way that anyone on the outside is going to be able to see it. But what happens is our brain starts to go into survival mode. It starts to go into our instincts. And so when we go into our instincts, because our brain is on, our brain is trying to fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, our learning brain is somewhat turned off. And this is what happens to children who are experiencing trauma day in and day out, coming into a classroom where they're unable to truly turn that switch off so their prefrontal cortex can really engage. Now, what I'm going to invite you to do after you watch my video is to watch the two videos that are linked here. One of them is going to be by Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris, and she talks about the impact of trauma and how it is a medical health crisis. The other one is talking about this idea of an upper brain and a lower brain, or the upstairs brain and the downstairs brain, and how it interacts with our emotions. Both of these are fundamental in understanding how trauma impacts our brains. And so when we understand that trauma impacts our brains, it is also important to understand that exposure to chronic prolonged trauma has the potential to alter children's brains in these examples here on the screen. This relates back to the last slide of Activity 1, where we talked about what we may see in preschool children, in elementary children, and in middle and high school children. Here are some similar references. I'm going to ask you to review these and to think about the children and students in the classes and the courses that you teach. And so this will start Module 1, Activity 3. Please go to the next video after watching the two videos of Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris and the idea of the upstairs and downstairs brain.